Jose. Let's go to Jose, Grand Rapids, Michigan, the great WJRW. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, sir. What a pleasure and an honor. Well, I was just telling your screener that you brought some memories with those news about Fidel. And, you know, this has been well known in the intelligence community for a long time. It's just that right now this book is coming out. I was a monitor of Latin American and Caribbean affairs for a think tank during the height of that. And what happened is that there was a vote, among other things. It was already known the connection between Pablo Escobar and the government in Cuba. But there was a specific launch or a fast speed boat that was busted by the DEA during that time. And there was going to be rumors that either during the end of the Reagan administration or beginning of the Clinton administration, there could have come some kind of indictment or something like that against Raul. And before that could happen, Fidel just got ahead of the game and charged these people who he knew, everybody knew that it came from him. They kind of played along with the game in the most bizarre Kafka-like Stalinist-type trial where they implicated themselves, with the promise that somewhere down the road they would be forgiven. But instead they were railroaded right into the shooting wall where they got executed. It was there is a documentary made by an Italian documentarist on the Ochoa trial. And it was one of the most bizarre and incredible.
And disgusting. The guy has no loyalty other than to himself and his brother.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that Fidel was really never really a committed Marxist or communist, although he says that lately. The true ideologues there were Raul and Che. Raul had gone as a younger person to Czechoslovakia. And him and Che were the real communists. Fidel was more like a gangster. He's in the tradition of Cuban politics. He's considered what it was called a gangster politics. These were street tough guys, and if Fidel actually studied more Mussolini's type of speech giving than anybody. He actually watched.
Well, you know what? Now that you mention it, and it should have been obvious, you're exactly right. All that drama and giving of the speech.
Yeah, if you look at his arm, the way he raises his arms, and he's going on for 8 hours, 12 hours speeches, and the whole drama. He was imitating Mussolini, but he was really and still is truly what this man said. He is a godfather, and the way he operates the whole government of Cuba is exactly like the mafia would operate that. But the left in America made the horrible mistake, special Democrats, in this illusion, this utopic illusion that Cuba was the homologues or their counterparts in Cuba, where the Fidel and the Communist Party, when actually it was the middle class Democrats and social Democrats that actually made possible the revolution. Fidel Castro would have never won the revolution in the mountains if it had not been for the structure of the urban Democrats. It was the urban environment that sent all the support to the mountains. And as soon as Fidel came to power, he purged everything. He purged the Socialist Party. He purged the Communist Party. He purged the military. Got rid of his number one contender and the most admired commander, which was Camilo Cienfuegos. Then he sent Che Guevara to Bolivia, knowing that he was going to be killed in Bolivia because there was a KGB agent in Che Guevara's. Well, actually, she was from East Germany, but it was being used by the KGB to turn Che Guevara into the Bolivian government and the CIA. Because Fidel, the Soviet Union and the U.S.
Jose, don't hang up. This is fascinating. I'm sure for the audience, too. Don't hang up. Remember where you left off. We will. We'll be right back with Jose, Grand Rapids, Michigan, the great WJRW, in one moment. Finishing up on Fidel.
I just sent your producer a link to the trial. I found a version that it's narrated in English with subtitles in case you want to see it. I recommend you see it. You will love it. But anyway, so what happens is, yes, I left it where the United States and Russia had come out with a...
No, you left it where Castro is systematically having these people wiped out. Yes. He sends Che to Bolivia to be killed.
Right, and he did so because the United States and the Soviet Union had come to an unwritten agreement that after the Bay of Pigs, the United States promised never to invade Cuba, but the United States asked the Soviet Union not to export not to allow Fidel to export the Cuban Revolution to guerrilla movements in Latin America. And so Che broke with Fidel because of that, and he turned into Mao to become a Maoist. So he went to Africa and tried to establish guerrilla movements there and failed. He came back to Cuba, and he was had fallen out already with Fidel. So Fidel had to find a way to get rid of him and send him to Bolivia. And the contact support for him in Bolivia was going to be the Bolivian Communist Party. But the Bolivian Communist Party was supported and maintained by the KGB. So the KGB, Fidel sent Che Guevara to Bolivia with a radio that could only transmit but not receive. And they had an agent there, Tamara Bunker, who was an East German agent. And she was the link that went to the capital in Bolivia and gave the whereabouts where Che Guevara was, so that the Bolivian army, with the help of American Green...
Let me ask you a question before we're out of time, and I don't mean to be dense on this, but I am a little bit. Did any of the top lieutenants, or whatever you want to call them, to the Castro brothers survive?
No, he purged it because he had not only drugs, but they had a whole ring of bringing diamonds from Africa for people.
But I mean, all of the original so-called revolutionaries who were by his side, who survived and came into power with him, none of them really lasted, did they?
No, most of them came into big positions of power. Cuba right now is run by like 10, 12 generals. They're all too old. Some of them have died. But with Fidel, there was a clear line. It was either you're with me or you're dead. And so they lined up pretty well behind him. And those that did very well. And those who didn't were purged. And after
what do you think Obama's obsession is with Cuba?
Well, it's the problem that the American left has with Cuba. They believe that these people are their counterparts. They believe that Fidel Castro and all these people are really actually good, hard-intended socialists that are going to bring that were going to bring about a socialist paradise. And when Obama says that 50 years of the same thing did not work, he was wrong. It did work. It finally turned Cuba back to capitalism, except now the capitalists are military men. So what you have in Cuba right now is really a fascist regime in the very sense of the word, that it is state capitalism owned by an elite who are also the top 10 generals in the army, controlled by and led by the chief of the army. So you have a military dictatorship that is also a family-owned dictatorship, and it's run by the military. 80 cents of every dollar that is invested in Cuba by Europeans and the U.S. goes to the government. The workers don't get to see this. They don't even get to go to the hotels.
Let me ask you this. When these two old murdering genocidal maniacs die, the Castro brothers, who slips in behind them? Do we know?
Their kids, they're all intermarried with each other. Some of these top generals, the top generals and the Castro, all these kids, they're all intermarried with each other. They have properties in Spain, Chile, Argentina. They have, Raul had and his wife had a villa in Italy in case they had to leave running the country. So these people are set for another 2 or 3 generations.
Jose, fascinating. You're a terrific caller. I really appreciate it.